What if everything we thought we knew about the Brown family was only half the story? What if behind every smile, every carefully staged scene, and every public statement there was a hidden plan, a set of secrets and power games so twisted it would make even the most loyal fans question everything tonight? We peel back the curtain and dive into the shocking truth about Cody Brown, his marriage to Robyn, and the real reason his daughters are pulling away from him. This isn't just family drama, it's a full-blown unraveling of control, loyalty, and betrayal that no one saw coming. Cody Brown has always presented himself as the man with a plan. The father of many, the husband who could balance multiple marriages, and the believer who stood firm in his faith. But what if that image has slowly started to crack beneath the surface? What if the family we watched for over a decade was built not just on love, but on fear, manipulation, and control? Because according to recent discussions by Meri and Tony Padron, the once respected patriarch might now be struggling with a deep internal conflict that has pushed his daughters even further away from him. The question that everyone is now asking is simple. Is Cody really trying to protect his children, or is he trying to control them? The situation began to spiral when Meri and Tony revealed that Cody might actually be blaming his sons-in-law for the reason his married daughters no longer speak to him, and that theory alone changes everything. Instead of self-reflection, Cody seems to have turned his frustration outward, blaming anyone who dares to question him. And this pattern fits perfectly with what longtime viewers have observed for years. He has never been one to accept responsibility or admit that he could be wrong rather than face the pain of rejection from his children. He finds comfort in a story where he is the victim, the misunderstood father just trying to do his best. But what if that narrative is nothing more than another act for the cameras? When Meri mentioned that Cody may be projecting his guilt onto others, it sent waves across the sister wives community. Because for many, it finally made sense: the moments when Cody grew distant, the way he spoke about his older kids, the tension in every interaction. All of it pointed toward a man desperate to maintain power over a family that has already moved on from his control. And if that's not enough to raise eyebrows, then the upcoming episode promises to make things even more complicated, because Cody reportedly claims that a mysterious woman contacted him by email chastising him for abandoning plural marriage, only to then propose herself as a potential new wife. A story that sounds so unbelievable, even the most loyal fans are questioning if it's real or staged. Think about the absurdity of that sequence. A stranger allegedly tells him to repent, to return to his faith, to embrace polygamy again, and then in the same breath, offers to marry him. It's almost cinematic, almost too convenient. And yet it fits the pattern Cody has been accused of before, creating moments of drama just to keep the narrative alive. Meri and Tony have hinted that this could be part of a long-running pattern of self-created chaos where Cody crafts bizarre situations to remind Robyn that he is still wanted by others, that he could still be the desirable polygamist husband, even though he long ago walked away from that life. The idea that he might use the concept of other women to manipulate his current relationship adds another layer of tension to what already feels like a marriage held together by illusion, because if Robyn's loyalty depends on the fantasy that they are still living within the framework of plural marriage, then Cody knows exactly how to use that to his advantage. But why would he do that? Because deep down, he knows that the moment Robyn stops believing in that illusion, she might leave him, and that is the one thing he cannot afford, not emotionally, not spiritually, and not for the sake of his public image. So he keeps the game going, dangling the idea of plural marriage just enough to keep her hooked, yet never actually committing to the reality of it. It's a delicate dance, one that has lasted years, and as Meri put it, it's nothing short of exhausting for everyone involved. There's also the fear that Robyn herself may still cling to the dream of being part of a plural family, not because she truly wants sister wives again, but because she wants the status that came with it. She was once seen as the favorite, the top wife, and that image gave her a sense of power in a household that was constantly fractured. And now that she's the only one left, she may be realizing that being the sole focus of Cody's attention isn't the blessing she imagined it to be. Instead, it's a daily reminder that the empire they built together has collapsed around them. Cody's fear of losing. Robyn seems to drive his every move. He plays these mental games not just to keep her interested, but to make her believe that her spiritual destiny still depends on him. And according to those familiar with their faith, that fear is not unfounded. If Robyn were to return to the church and seek counsel, She might be told that she could find salvation with another man, that her eternal life could still be redeemed through remarriage, especially since Cody's own spiritual authority has been questioned by so many of his former wives that thought alone may terrify him, because losing Robyn wouldn't just mean losing a partner, it would mean losing the last person who still validates his role as the head of the family. So to keep her, he has to pretend to still be that man, the one who holds the power, the one who might take on another wife someday. Even though everyone knows he won't, this is where the line between performance and reality begins to blur. Because on the outside, Cody and Robyn appear to have a united front. But behind closed doors, their relationship may be held together by fear, guilt, and carefully constructed illusions. And when those illusions start to crumble, they both double down. Robyn keeps her children, close, keeping them dependent and emotionally young, so that Cody will remain connected to them while Cody keeps feeding her. The idea that they are still living out some version of their old faith. It's a cycle that traps them both. And the price of that cycle seems to be paid by everyone else in the family, especially the daughters who have grown tired of the endless manipulation. This is where Aurora's story enters the picture. Her recent introduction of her boyfriend on the show seemed innocent enough until Mykelti and Tony pointed out just how staged the whole thing appeared to be, because why else would a deeply private family suddenly invite cameras into such a personal moment, unless it served a larger purpose to fill a gap in their storyline to create a new distraction for viewers to latch onto. It's almost too perfect: the protective father, the nervous boyfriend, the awkward family meeting, all the ingredients of reality TV tension. But underneath that scripted surface lies a troubling dynamic. Cody's old beliefs about control and ownership seem to have resurfaced when he reportedly referred to Aurora's boyfriend as someone who was kissing another man's future wife. The implication being that Aurora's autonomy didn't belong to her, that she was someone's possession waiting to be claimed. This didn't sit well with Mykelti, who bluntly stated that a woman belongs only to herself, that no one, not even a father, has the right to decide who she can love or kiss or marry her. Words struck a chord with fans who have watched the show evolve from a story about plural marriage to one about independence and self-discovery. The fact that Cody still clings to such outdated views exposes the deep, generational divide between him and his children. They are living in a world of freedom and choice while he remains stuck in a system built on control and submission. And it's that clash that continues to tear the family apart. The most haunting part of all this is that Cody doesn't even seem to realize it. He keeps defending his actions as love, as protection, as faith. But every time he does, he pushes his family further away until the only person left by his side is the one who also benefits from keeping the illusion alive, Robyn. As the conversation between Mykelti and Tony deepened, it became clear that this was not just about one awkward introduction or one outdated comment. It was about a much deeper pattern that has defined Cody Brown's life and the way he views the people around him, because behind every word, every scene, and every decision seems to be the same driving force: control for Cody. It is not enough to be respected. He needs to be obeyed. And when that obedience fades, he replaces it with blame and guilt, and that is exactly what seems to have happened with his daughters over time. The cracks that were once hidden behind carefully edited family moments have now become impossible to ignore. The daughters who once followed his lead have begun to carve out their own lives, making their own choices, forming relationships, and stepping outside the shadow of their father's authority. And instead of celebrating their independence, Cody reportedly sees it as betrayal. This is why the theory that he blames the sons-in-law has gained so much traction, because for a man like Cody, it is easier to believe that outsiders have poisoned his children against him than to face the possibility that his own actions drove them away. What Mykelti and Tony are describing is not just a family falling apart. It's a man trapped in the ruins of his own making, unable to understand that love cannot be commanded, it must be earned. Cody's behavior toward his daughters, especially Aurora, shows how much he still struggles to see women as individuals with agency. Mykelti said that when he told Aurora's boyfriend that he was kissing another man's future wife, it was not just an awkward joke. It was a glimpse into how Cody truly thinks. He sees his daughters as extensions of himself, their choices, their mistakes, their successes, all reflections of his own image. And that is why he reacts so strongly whenever one of them steps out of line, because to him their independence feels like rebellion. It's a dangerous mindset, one that leaves no room for growth or equality. Tony added that the statement itself was more than just outdated. It was deeply harmful because it implied that Aurora's affection was not hers to give, that her emotions, her body, her choices were someone else's property. And that belief, as shocking as it sounds, has been quietly shaping the family dynamic for years. The daughters who dared to push back were labeled as disloyal. The wives who questioned him were accused of disrespect, and now, as those patterns come to light, it's impossible to ignore how much pain they caused. But even as these revelations emerge, there's another layer to the story, one that touches the show itself, because if what Mykelti and Tony said is true, then much of what we see on screen may not be reality at all, but rather a carefully crafted narrative designed to protect Cody and Robyn's image. Mykelti suggested that Aurora's introduction of her boyfriend was not a spontaneous moment, but a planned storyline created to give Cody and Robyn something to film, since they have very little left to show their marriage has grown quiet. Their family scenes repetitive and without conflict. There is no content. And in the world of reality television, no content means no relevance. So what better way to keep the cameras rolling than by creating a new romantic subplot involving one of Robyn's children? It's a tactic that longtime viewers have suspected. For years, whenever the family's real life starts to settle, the show finds a new reason to stir things up. And if that's true, then Aurora's story becomes more than just a glimpse into young love. It becomes a tool, a way to keep her parents on screen and maintain the illusion that everything is fine. This revelation has left many fans questioning how much of what they've seen over the years was genuine, and how much was just television magic if Aurora and her boyfriend had been together for a long time, as Mykelti hinted. Then the so-called introduction scene was likely filmed only to give context to something that had already been happening off camera. And if that's the case, then the emotional reactions, the speeches, the awkward tension were all part of a setup, a staged reconstruction of a moment that never really happened that way. It's storytelling, not reality. And it raises an unsettling question: how much of Cody's recent behavior is real and how much is performance? Because when a person has lived in front of cameras for as long as he has, the line between truth and act begins to fade. Perhaps even Cody himself no longer knows which version is authentic: the devoted father, the betrayed husband, or the misunderstood prophet of a faith he no longer fully practices. What is clear, however, is that the strain is showing. Mykelti and Tony revealed that they haven't spoken to Aurora in months, that the communication between them and Robyn's children ended around the time of Garrison's passing, and that distance speaks volumes. It shows that the emotional fracture in the family is not just between Cody and his older wives, but between the children themselves. They have inherited the silence, the mistrust, the resentment, and the emotional distance that their parents created without even realizing it. For many fans, this is the saddest part of all, because once upon a time, Sister Wives was about unity, about finding love and cooperation in an unconventional family. But now it feels like the story has turned into something entirely different, a slow unraveling of everything they once stood for. Robyn and Cody's relationship, once seen as the strongest of all, has now been revealed as one of constant tension and silent manipulation. The idea that Cody still talks about plural marriage to keep Robyn interested may sound strange, but according to Mykelti and Tony, it fits perfectly, because Robyn's faith and her sense of purpose were built around that concept. It was what defined her, and without it, she would lose her identity within their belief system. That's why she clings to the illusion and why Cody continues to feed it. He knows that if she ever fully accepted that, polygamy is over. She might start to question everything else, including their relationship, and for Cody, that is a risk he cannot take. The two of them seem to be trapped in a shared fantasy where both know the truth, but neither is willing to admit it. They pretend for each other, for the church, for the show, and for the fans, but deep down, they must feel the weight of the lie growing heavier with each passing year. The irony is that while Cody fights to maintain control, he is losing the very thing he seeks to protect: his family, his legacy, his children's respect, all slipping away, one argument at a time. And yet he keeps going, perhaps because he doesn't know how to stop. Perhaps because stopping would mean facing the truth that his vision of family and faith no longer exists. And that realization might be the hardest one of all. In many ways, this story is no longer about religion or marriage. It's about identity. About a man who built his entire life around a system of beliefs that have now turned against him. And rather than adapt, he clings tighter to what's familiar, even as it destroys the relationships he claims to value the most. And as fans continue to watch the drama unfold, there's a growing sense that the ending we're heading toward won't be a happy one. Because once the illusion finally collapses, there will be no way to rebuild it, in the end. What we're witnessing isn't just the collapse of a family on television, it's the unmasking of a man who built his identity on control and a belief that he could hold everyone together by force of will alone. Cody Brown's story has turned into a cautionary tale about pride, ego, and the slow destruction that comes when someone refuses to face their own reflection. What began as a dream of unity has fractured into resentment, distance, and regret. His daughters aren't rebelling, they're healing. His wives aren't abandoning him, they're reclaiming their peace, and his world isn't being taken from him, it's simply evolving beyond the one he thought he could dictate. Maybe that's what real change looks like. Not a dramatic explosion, but a quiet realization that love built on fear can't last, and that no matter how hard, he fights to rewrite the story. The truth is already out there, playing out in real time for the world to see. This isn't the ending Cody imagined, but maybe it's the one that finally sets everyone free.